Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to Drawing Down the Stars. I'm Snappy, and thank you for joining me for our live tarot session today, October 23rd, 2024. It's a beautiful day and a wonderful evening. Let's give a shout out to everyone in the chat. Good to see you, Valerie. Ooh, everyone, go check out our dear friend Teddy Bass's new album. You can find it on YouTube. Sixtus, much love. Jeremy, much love. Daphne, much love. Gandhi, great to see you, much love. Exit 101, much love. Ermission Mez, much love. Nikosmas, great to see you. Roving Fungus, great to see you. All the love in the world, Mother Rhea, great to see you. Holler Haint. All right. Pamela, great to see you. Barb, much love. Lilith, great to see you. Gandhi, much love. MeWeb, great to see you. Thank you all for joining me. It's amazing. Love seeing you all here. We're going to start out by talking a bit about the astrology. So we're still in this energy of the moon in Cancer. And we're coming out of it this evening. We should be entering Leo around 1:30 or so this morning, depending on where you're at in the world. And remember, this energy of Cancer is that deep emotional energy, connected to love, connected to family, connected to feelings of security and closeness, right? Cancer is that energy of wanting to protect, of wanting to be in those loving reciprocal relationships, of wanting to establish and hold on to these relationships. In spite of the flowing nature of that Cancer energy, it is one of defense, of protection, and of loving communication. Recognize that the crab, right, is that animal that truly takes care of their young. This is not something that you see often in the aquatic world. And I believe that the ancients took note of this. And that's part of the reason why the crab was chosen to represent this sign, because it's that flowing emotive energy, but it's still grounded in the earth. It's still out to protect and defend and be embodied with that loving energy. And when we're under the sign of Cancer, it's a reminder to connect to their loved ones, to connect to family, to be in that procreative power of generation. These are things that are going to matter in these moments, right? There is a bit of caution here, though, because that Cancer energy is intense, right? It can lead us to being fearful. It can be that energy if we don't have loving support, if we lack security. Then it calls us out to seek it. It calls us out to feel uncomfortable. But luckily, with this beautiful energy of Libra, the scales of balance and justice in our sun, we have the potential to really flow with this energy, to be connected to our loved ones, to be in that energy of defense and security and communication. But we can tap into that balance of Libra to allow us to not get too obsessive, to allow us to not be too anxious. One of the hardest things about that security energy is that security is never something truly realized. Only change is real. And so much of security needs to come from our ability to adapt and to thrive, to accept transformation, and to be willing to do what is necessary to grow. And Cancer can grow, but it doesn't like to. It wants to stay in that security. It wants to protect what it has, which is not a bad energy, but it is an energy that needs to be balanced, needs to be in flow. All right, beautiful. Excuse me. Let's talk a minute about the title today. Seek balance between instinct and logic. What's so wild to me is that I've been dealing with this kind of occurring theme over the last few days when I've been meditating. 3 days ago, we drew the moon. And when I was fixating on this energy of the moon, it was that energy of being the witness, of going with the flow, of embracing the unconscious in the instinct, of facing these deeper aspects of the self, of being embodied, right? And really going to the depths. Then we continued this theme the next day with the priestess. The priestess is the one who is fully aware of her instincts, who can connect to her unconscious self, who is in that flow, who can participate in the weave. Not only can she see the patterns that the universe puts out, but she can alter them through subtle manipulation. She has that ability to affect the flow and to bring transformation through disciplined action and loving connection. Very different energy than that logician of Hermes, the magician, right? The one who asserts their will. Never once does the priestess assert her will. She simply creates a story. It's an unfolding of energy, and she helps people see the light as she sees it, right? Now we're moving into that energy of balance, the Libra, the scales. This title was inspired by that card adjustment, which is justice. It is the scales itself. And this is about coming into that balance of these feet. Over the course of these last few days, it's been really about getting into the body, going to the unconscious, understanding what's bothering us, where we need to go, what the universe is desiring in that long term. But fundamentally, we need to take this to our conscious self. We need to then project that into reality. And for that to happen, it requires that logic. It requires that outgoing hermetic energy of the magician. It requires us to be engaged. And a lot of people have trouble with this energy, especially people who are of a more loving, reciprocal priestess energy. They have trouble embodying that conscious action. And what we're seeing now is that we need to move from that unconscious, take this power that we have gained from that understanding, and then balance it with that logical. Balance it so that we can create reason. True reason is going to come from an understanding of the self and an understanding of the external world, a balance between our conscious and our unconscious mind, a balance between instinct and logic, where we're not overthinking, where we can still move and flow and see the patterns. But we are also not moving recklessly. We are using our best judgment, and we are actively engaging in the world. We are actively pursuing what we need to pursue. Beautiful energy, and we get there through that justice, right? And when we bring in that justice, right, it's about balancing it all. If we are just in that unconscious energy, you don't see this much in the tarot, but there is a truth here. When we look at that priestess, we can easily see the reflection of the witch, that fearful boogeyman. This energy can be that source of violence, of extremism. It can be that Hecatic energy in its most intense, that seeks to destroy, that seeks that power of domination. But this is also true of that Hermes energy of the magician. The fool can easily become the tyrant, right? And we need to be able to balance these two forces. If we are too in the unconscious, if we are too in the logical, if we are overthinking, we can't move forward. If we are underthinking, we can't move forward. If we are stuck in the body, we cannot see the sky. The middle path is the way, and it is justice, the scales, adjustment that brings us there, right? And under this sun of Libra, now we can fully see this. We can see that middle path. It's almost fully on display if you are willing to do what is necessary to engage. Beautiful. All right. We are now going to go to our Ganapati oracle. Ganesha Ganapati is the divine child, the Lord of beginnings, the guardian of the threshold, the master of Ganas. And we ask them to send us a message and to inspire us and to ensure that our words are heard by those who need to hear them. So Ganapati, Ganesha, what is the inspiring message? All right. And today's message is positive outlook, positivity. Recognizing that belief is a tool, positivity is a tool. And when we engage this power of outlook, when we project our will into the future, when we ask the universe, it is only then we can receive. You may not get what you want, but if you don't ask for it, you will never get it. If you do not strive, it will never manifest. And if you are in that negative mindset, it is far more likely that negativity will plague you. But again, we want that balance. Negativity is necessary, but in this moment, at this time, under this circumstance, we are called to that positivity. We are called to project our will into the future in its bright, active sense. We need to ensure that we are achieving something that is beautiful and that we believe we can achieve something that is beautiful. Beauty only can come about when you have that desire, when you are truly emboldened, when you give in to that feeling, that love, that joy, when you embrace sincerity, positivity, belief, power. That's where the magic lies. Can you truly engage with something? Can you truly adore something beyond reason, beyond the self even? It's kind of wild is that when we engage in this reasoned path and we play with the magic, we start to recognize when we can break and push those boundaries, when we can expand ourselves to the point of absurdity for the purpose of beauty, of growth and transformation. There are times, right, when the middle path is not about a straight path. It's never a straight path. It is about using that reasoned action in the moment to decide where you need to go. Sometimes you will have to be that positive force. Sometimes you will have to be that negative force. Sometimes you have to embrace love, and sometimes you will have to embrace violence. And it is understanding and recognizing when that the power of reason truly comes into play. Right? It is not about non-acting. It's not about sitting in the middle and saying that both sides are the same. No, that's not the true middle path. The true middle path can navigate the ebbs and flow, can go where they need to go. The universe is ever in swing. Things are never steady. It's always erratic. What is liberal one day may be extreme the next day, right? You have to embrace that reason and that balance and see what is needed in the present, and see what is needed to project into the future. Beautiful. All right. We are now going to go to our sortes proper. For those of you unaware, the sortes is a form of bibliomancy, that is, divination through literature. And it comes to us from the Greco-Roman tradition. And we invoke the divine muses, the goddesses of inspiration, and we ask them to send us a message through the text. And today we are going to begin with Dr. Faustus by Marlowe. Muses, what is the inspiring message from Marlowe? All right. Master Dr. Faustus, I have heard strange report of thy knowledge in the black art, how that none in my empire know the whole world can compare with thee for the rare effects of magic. They say thou hast a familiar spirit, by whom thou canst accomplish what thou list. This therefore is my request, that thou let me see some proof of thy skill, that my eyes may be witness to confirm what my ears have heard reported. And here I swear to thee, by the honor of mine imperial crown, that whatever thou doest, thou shalt be in no way prejudiced or endamaged. Wow. Even the king realizes that Before he can accept what he is told, he must hear it and he must see it. Do you have the ears to hear and the eyes to see? Right? Do you have the ears to hear and the eyes to see? Right? These are grandiose claims of magic and power, right? Of having access to that familiar, that demonic, animalistic spirit, of being able to conjure. If someone makes these claims, they have to be able to produce it, right? They got to be able to produce it. This is something within the occult world, within the magical world, that a lot of people have trouble with, you know? Personal gnosis is just that, personal. Now, it may be the most transcendent thing you have ever experienced. It may change your entire world, and for that reason, it's beyond important to you. But unless you can expand that out of the self, unless you have evidence, unless you have something to show, it only matters to you. Now, that doesn't mean it's not important. Far from it. We must know the self. We must experience these things. We must engage the dream. But the dream is that. It is a dream. And if someone tells you that they have cities, they better be able to produce them. Otherwise, you call BS. You know? I'm sorry, right? This is something that I have a huge issue with. No gurus, unless that guru can show me what they're talking about. Right? You better be able to manifest. And not just manifest, but in many ways, right? You tell me you have universal wisdom and enlightenment. What does that mean? Show me. People often ask, why did I become a student of Dr. Ammon and work with him? I work with many people. He's not my only teacher. But the biggest reason why I listened to him and I took lessons with him is because he never once claimed to be a guru. He never once claimed to have any knowledge that he did not possess. And anything he did claim, he could prove. He could prove. And this should be the test of all teachers. This should be the test of all teachers. That, and he refused to pursue greed. Outside of a few minor courses that I took with him specifically, I have never paid for anything and never been asked for anything. Right? And that matters. That matters. All right, let us continue. A Sinister Assassin by Antonin Artaud. All right. Muses, guide my hand. What is the message from Artaud? Inspire us this evening. And then what you had been expecting suddenly happens. Fumes that are sulfurous and lilac colored emerge as a mass from a point in the circle traced by 6 men, in which the 6 crosses have sealed shut. And from under those fumes of flame, an immense flame is illuminated suddenly. And that immense flame is now seething. Oh, wow. This is wild. There's a reason why on my channel I have like 15 episodes on Artaud. Or at least it seems that way. I'm exaggerating, but you know. And then what you had been expecting suddenly happens. Trusting that instinct, seeing the signs. Fumes that are sulfurous and lilac colored. Lilac, the purple, sulfur. They tell us in the text, what did Medea smell of? She smelled of sulfur. Emerge as a mass from a point in the circle. Emerge from a mass inside the circle. Traced by 6 men, in which the 6 crosses have shut. Sealed shut within the circle of 6. Who's the circle? What is the circle? Do we hear Circe? And then the 6 people, 6 crosses, 6 points have sealed shut, and from under those fumes a flame. From the fumes arises a flame. An immense flame is illuminated suddenly, and that immense flame is now seething. Seething. What is the flame? The flame is that fire of inspiration. It is the muses. It is that Helios. It is that Apollo. It is that Medea, that Dike, the fires of justice. Wow. Beautiful, Ito. Just beautiful. Okay. We're now going to go to my favorite German Hellenist, Goethe, Faust. Muses, what is the message from the beloved Goethe? Inspire us this evening. Well, that might have turned out very nice if he had winked at waywardness in you. An easy rule for both is my advice. Upon these terms, why, I myself would woo, but you buy you a ring and promise to be true. How beautiful is this? Well, that might have turned out very nice if he had winked at waywardness in you. An easy rule for both is my advice. Upon these terms, why, I myself would woo. Upon these terms, I would engage in that process. Buy you a ring. What is the ring? It's that mark of Saturn, of Gyges, right? That power, and promise to be true. The circle, promising to stay in those bonds. There's great magic in those commitments. These commitments keep us tied to the earth. And a commitment made of love is beautiful, transcendent, worthy. A commitment to ideology should be questioned every single time. Why? How can you change if you commit to an idea? Now, if you commit to love, you and your partner are guaranteed to change, and for the better, as a result of that mutual commitment, if it is true. And it will happen over the cycles. Over the cycles. What doesn't happen this time will happen next time. There is power in these bonds. There is power in these commitments. You know, why do you think we wear the chains? All right, let us continue. Paradise lost and regained. Muses, guide my hand. What is the message from Milton in Paradise Lost and Regained? For disillusion wrought by sin that first distempered all things, and of incorrupt corrupted, I at first with two fair gifts created him endowed with happiness and immortality that fondly lost. This other served but to eternize woe. Till I provided death, so death becomes his final remedy, and after life, tried in sharp tribulation and refined by faith and faithful works to second life, waked in the revelation of the just, resigns him up with heaven and earth renewed. Wow, we got this full on display, what I've been talking about. For dissolution wrought by sin that first distempered all things, and of incorrupt corrupted, I at first with two fair gifts created him endowed with happiness and immortality. We were created with happiness and immortality, but we abused it with our greed. We abused it with our greed, right? We abused it. We took advantage. That fondly lost, this other served but to eternize woe. All it did All it served was to make woe eternal. Wow. His final remedy, an afterlife tried in sharp tribulation and refined by faith and by faithful work, to second life, waked in the renovation of the just, resigns him up with heaven and earth renewed. We are given life to refine it. We are given life for the purpose of struggle so that we can learn and understand where we are going, so that when we ascend to the heavens, we recognize what we have gained and the trials that have taken us to get there, so that we fully understand and respect each other and the experiences, right? And recognize it is by faith and by work to second life, in renovation of the just. And when we strive for that pursuit of that heaven, we bring justice upon the earth and we renew both heaven and earth in the process. Both are renewed in the process, and it is cyclical, one life to a second life. Wow. Beautiful. Let us continue. We're now going to go to Lewis Carroll, Alice Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass. Muses, what is the message from Lewis Carroll? Inspire us this evening. The trial cannot proceed, said the king, in a very grave voice, until all the jurymen are back in their proper places. All, he repeated with great emphasis, looking hard at Alice as he said so. The trial cannot proceed until all are witness. Until all are witness. We all must be witness to the experience of life. We must all see and perceive the unfolding. Only then can we give voice to justice. And only then do we have a right. Only then do we have a right to speak justice, true. When we have gone through the experience, when we see things with eyes wide open. Thank you, Seth. Wow, that was kind of spooky. I love it when that happens. Happened with Lilith yesterday, happens with Seth today. Okay. Let us continue. Okay, we're going to go to A Brave New World. And this will be our last sorties for the evening. All right, muses, what is the message from Brave New World? Inspire us. Ow, you're hurting me. She was suddenly silent. Terror had made her forget the pain. Opening her eyes, she had seen his face. No, not his face. A ferocious stranger's pale, distorted twitching with some insane, explicable fury. When man becomes a beast in that desire to destroy, we must all recognize our propensity to violence, the obsession with beauty, and that destructive nature of lust. We can balance these things. That destructive impulse, that impulse to waste is not ugly. Art, beauty comes out of this impulse, that striving. But if we engage with it till its illogical ends, we destroy the other for our own amusement. We debase and degrade. We commit unspeakable acts of violence for the sake of violence in and of itself. A waste, a pursuit unto death, pure destructive vice. That is greed at its highest, most ugliest form. And it is that the muse calls out of the beasts, right? Are you a man or are you beast? Are you human? Can you engage with the other and see them as a unique individual worthy of respect? Can you restrain yourself? Intense imagery, intense imagery. Let us go to our tarot proper now. But before I do, please give me a like and a subscribe. It really does make a big difference. It boosts everything in the algorithm. And if you're at all interested in a private reading, please reach out, snappyddts@gmail.com, or you can find me on the Myth and Lore Discord, Snappy or Lady Snappy. All right. And today we are going to use the Thoth Tarot of Lady Frida Harris and Aleister Crowley. And we invoke that energy of Saturn and we ask them to dissect our life, to cut it up and to expose it upon the plate, to show us the interconnections. And we ask, how can we rise above the conflicts? How we can best move in flow? And how we can manifest our true will? And what is that greater message for the community? It's never about abandoning the animal. It's never about abandoning and becoming fully human. It is about becoming fawnies, male, female, and animal, and more still. About seeing all perspectives and understanding them, of being able to move before them. There's nothing wrong with mutual pursuits of pleasure, right? Even if that pleasure is about destruction. There are times and places when this is powerful and profound. But it is when it is that greed, when we reduce the other, when we do not perceive them as anything else other than an object to be destroyed, to be displaced, to be otherized and vilified. That is where the evil arises, my friends. And even evil itself, right, is not an absolute. It is a concept that exists within a moment, within an experience. Our center card today, building the foundation, having that power structure, manifesting a place, building a home, creating the family, building the temple of the muses, the museon, the foundation that will persist through the cycles. Wow, beautiful energy. How do we manifest that power foundation? How do we build the temple? By pursuing reason, by balancing instinct and logic, by pursuing the middle path, by being able to adapt and flow as necessary. Wow. And the other side, we manifest that foundation when we engage in truths, when we can see things from multiple perspectives and we can take multiple sides and see the unfolding of beauty within. We need to recognize that reason can only exist in that shared perspective, in that community. Only then can we see the cube, right? Only then can we see the blooming of the flower. This is about not engaging in the violence. It is about instead building something true and having the strength of mind to avoid the conflict through reason and truth, compromise, understanding, expanding the perspective. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. 2 fours, 2 foundational energies, and 1 guiding principle. Love it. Let's continue. The 3 of Wands, that powerful energy of virtue, Hecate trivia, right? This is not just virtue, but this is that giving voice, speaking voice to power, pursuing that light, having the strength to do what is just, right? Even though we are pursuing that truth, even though we are acting with reason, we cannot forget to shine that light and to expose the violence, to expose and to offer a realistic approach, to see what is happening. This Hecate trivia energy, right? Who is Hecate? How does she work within the mystery? She is the guide. She hears the abduction of Persephone. She hears the cries of the great mother Demeter, and she offers to shine her torches and to bring Persephone back from the underworld to her mother, to help in that pursuit of love, because she saw what was unjust. She heard the violence, and she reacts accordingly. Dia muta, the mute. Why is she mute? Why is Lorunda mute? Because she had the strength to stand up to Zeus in the face of his violence and his desire to possess Juturna, the young nymph who did not want him. She was the only one who dared to speak out, to dare hold him to account. And she went to Hera and spoke truth. And for that, she had her tongue ripped out and was cast into the marshes, into the underworld. It's that same energy. It's that same energy, Hecate and Diamuta. These energies that refuse to allow that injustice to occur, who stand and bear witness. Let's continue. Beautiful. The Queen of Swords. The Queen of Swords. We saw her the other day. This is the energy we must embody. Not only that one who pursues the highest understanding, who is engaged in that mystical approach, who is ascending to the stars to gain that greater knowledge, but in that divine feminine approach, the one who builds kin relations, the one who shares, the one who teaches. The Queen of Swords is the ultimate teacher, the ultimate bearer and giver of knowledge. Not only does she learn, but she shares that learning and uplifts those around her through her reason. Right? And she's also that force who cuts, right? Those swords engage in the conflict. She doesn't abide unreasonable bullshit. This is that woman who says, no, that's not right. That's not true. This is what is, right? And has the audacity to say so because she knows from experience and hard work, right? And it is through this approach, through education, through virtue, that we manifest the 6 in that energy of the discs. Success, perfect balance, achieving our dreams, building the temple, building the museum, transforming the world around us for the better. And we do it when we embrace that virtue and when we engage as that teacher. Let us continue. Where does this virtue come from? Why is it needed? Recognize that we are in a profound moment. The world is experiencing this. At least in my world, I feel it. The disappointment, the disconnection. These cups are not in reciprocal flow. This is not a communal love. These are people that are all striving, who are all thirsty, who are all starving. And the area is dead. No love to give. When we shine that virtuous light into the depths of this disappointment, we can see who is causing the disappointment, who is not in reciprocal flow, and we can engage them. And we can transform this 5 into that 6 of pleasure, that balance, that reciprocal flowing energy. We need to understand, though, that this disappointment is a result of the disconnection. It's a result of inharmony, of not reciprocating, of not being in communal, loving, sharing support. And this is the reality of our current present for many of us. We are disconnected from our neighbors. We are disconnected from our family. We do not have reciprocal flow. And we get there through virtue, And that disc, that four of discs, that foundation is about manifesting that. It's about transforming this disappointment. It's about creating and building the community that we need in loving reciprocal flow and understanding. We only reach a point with so much hatred, with so much animosity and resentment, when we are disconnected, when we are in that mode of judgment, when we do not see each other as individuals who are struggling, but as actors of violence and evil, when we reduce people to such extremes. We get through this by embracing new love, new relationships, imagining a better way, beginning from a purer source, going to the depths of that emotional love, going to that great mother, and being in that reciprocal energy, trying with a new imagination, a new way, a new creation, one born of reason, one born of education, one that manifests the museum. Beautiful. It is not only the disappointment that we are meant to overcome here, but it is also the debauch. On one hand, there's that extreme disconnect and that extreme judgment, right? That is leading to so much pain and suffering. And then on the other hand is that overindulgence for the purpose of destruction, right? Indulging for that, for nothing more than mutual abuse. Again, not reciprocal. Instead of withholding love, now we are manifesting it too much and we are trying to possess each other. We are degrading each other, debasing each other. And all it leads to is more violence and more disgust. How do we transform these energies? We have to begin anew from that purpose of purity, of loving reciprocal energy, of embodying that mother with that reason, with that education, with that virtue. Wow, such intense energy. Beautiful energy today, but there's so much work that needs to happen. And it's about recognizing where we're at in the world. Recognizing where we're at in the world. When people can look at their neighbors and not see neighbors. This is a serious problem, beyond serious. All right, let us continue. We're going to flip our camera here so we can see the full square. And if you would, please give me a like and a subscribe. It really does make a big difference. It boosts everything in the algorithm. And if you're at all interested in a private reading, please reach out. Snappy, ddts@gmail.com. You can find everything in the description below. And if you're at all interested, come join our community, Myth and Lore. Lots of beautiful people. And we're always on there having a good time, sharing knowledge. And I would love to meet you. So let's start here with that 6 of science, pure reason. Reason is what shows us the approach, which shows us what we need to do. Educate and approach with love. It is only when we have that loving cup to offer, when we can provide new community, new opportunity, a transformation from the disappointment, from the debauch, that we can begin to approach and create that 6 of cups to manifest that balanced community. We have to build, though, that tower, that temple, our foundation, the place for the muses, right? And this desire to build the temple comes from this disconnection, right? It comes from this feeling of being a loss, of being an individual, in spite of all of these people around us, in spite of all of these people around us that we even share so much with. Yet we have no place. We have no place. We manifest it by pursuing justice and recognizing that we need a place. We need something that can transform this disappointment, that can provide a foundation of knowledge, of reason, of balance and truth. Right? What happens at the Temple of the Muses? The Galaxia, the feasting of equals, the courts of law. That's what happens. It is when we move in truth. It is when we can see things clearly and work from a perspective of shared communal understanding that we can see the truth of the debauchery, that we can manifest the success and build something tangible. But we need to recognize where the abuse is coming from, how we are overindulging, how we are engaging in a non-productive way, right? Where this self-destruction comes from. And we can only fully see it when we work in community, when we balance our perspectives, when we share an understanding. And that success can only manifest when we overcome that debauchery, when we balance our thinking, and we work together for that purpose of building. Beautiful. Let's now look at our crosses. We start here. And it is very clear that foundation, building of the foundation, will lead to new opportunities. And it is these new loving approaches of accepting, of sharing, of engaging in that emotional loving connection with others that'll manifest the success, that'll transform this tower, that foundation will grow and we will manifest the 10. But it comes when we can approach this with that new, loving, reciprocal energy of sharing, of being willing to engage in open arms, in open understanding. Wow. The key to building this foundation and to overcoming our nature, our debauchery, our self-destructive impulses is the same. It's about pursuing wisdom and logic and understanding from that true teaching perspective, from that one who wishes to share and understand. We overcome this through engaging with each other, through talking, through exposure. Many of us won't even understand that we are bound in this nature, that we are hurting each other. It can only come from that outside wisdom, right? We can only manifest that tower when we are truly engaging the world and we want to teach and we want to share. We have to embody that feminine energy, right? It is not enough to be logical, but we have to be willing to share that logic and to confront the unreasonable, to confront them and challenge them with love, reason and love together. Reason and love together, right? That's what builds our tower. And that pursuit of virtue, staying true, speaking truth to the ugliness, saying it like it is, overcoming the disappointment through building that communal space, right? Overcoming the debauchery through engaging in that truth, by not fighting, by working together in harmony. That's what reason is. You can only see the cube when you step back and you examine the square from all 6 points. And then the cube appears in the center of the cross, right? That comes from great understanding. No one gains this on their own. Reason is a result of community. You need technology, you need people, you need history in order to produce reason. And all of that needs a foundation to ensure that that energy, that information, that knowledge persists through the cyclical changes. Everyone If you are interested in this type of magic, in this type of building, go read for yourself Isaac Asimov's Foundation. He was a Hellenist and a humanist, a pursuer of reason, and there is much beauty there. He calls his great goddess at the end of his story Galaxia, the name of the feast in the Temple of the Muses, where all sat as equals and engaged together, all for purpose and for reason. All right, everyone, that's the message. Build the tower, pursue reason, overcome disappointment and debauchery through self-refinement and truce. Engage in education, engage in reason, and share your love freely. All right, everyone. I hope that really resonated with you. I'm doing a lot of fire and brimstone ranting today and yesterday, but that's been the energy. It's been quite intense. Let us do one final sorties. Where do I want to go? Let's go to Robert Graves, the White Goddess. You know, I was talking with my dear friend, Old Boy, and I want to share this with you because it's great. Old Boy is looking into the Pelasgians, and Robert Graves was the first academic to reconstruct the Pelasgian creation myth, and it occurs in his Greek mythology text. Go check it out. It's worth reading. Or go check out Old Boy when he does his breakdown, and he'll do it for you. All right. Muses, what is that message from Robert Graves and the White Goddess? What do we leave our audience with this evening? All right. Come, foremost angel of great Zeus, E-A-Ow. And thou too, Michael, who holdest heaven, and Gabriel, thou, the archangel from Olympus. Look at this. Zeus is a trimorphos, made up of tri-demonic forces, right? Raphael, Michael, Gabriel, right? Just as we see with the Great Mother, she has three faces, right? She is that Selene, that Artemis, that Hecate. She is the Great Mothers, right? Cybele, Astarte, Aphrodite, and Demeter. And she is the great witches as well, right? Medea, Circe, and of course, Erectho. All right, everyone. Peace and love, and I hope I see you again tomorrow. Actually, I wanted to leave you guys with one thing. I always say peace and love, and some people accuse me of being a hippie. And I just laugh about this, you know, because the Orphics were pretty much the biggest hippies imaginable. So I think I'm in good company. But also, who are peace and love? Peace is Heskia, the child of justice, the virgin burned upon the earth to create and build the cities. And who is love but Aphrodite herself? All right, everyone. Thanks for listening to me. I always enjoy ranting with you all, and I hope I see you tomorrow. Take care.